Because we get the YouTube videos, we get the Facebook videos. But that's not the same thing as being there and seeing them in person. And for a lot of us, that's the only time you get to do that. The only time you get to see the guys from New Zealand or Australia is when they go to Scotland and when you're there too.
For sure. And that's something that's always a real drag, is when you're so busy doing your own thing, you don't get a chance to check out all these other great musicians.
Yeah.
One of the most magical, I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole here, but one of the most like recent magical drumming things, pipe band wise, that happened to me recently was 3 years ago, maybe. Must have been 3 years ago. And I was still playing in the old band, and we had a little bit of a break, in our warm-up routine or whatever, and the world championships can be a very long day or two, ideally, right?
Yes.
For the bands lucky enough to make it through the first day.
Yep.
Things are different this year, of course, but whatever. So we had a little bit of a lull in the action, so it was a little opportunity to kind of lay the rain cape down on the ground and have a little 5-10 minute siesta and just kind of, okay, let's just relax for a minute. Let's just try and rest up for a second, because it's pretty intense, and go. And it was me and a couple of the other pipers, and we all pulled up a little chunk of rain cape on the grass and just kind of laid down on the ground and just kind of closed the eyes for a minute. And we were right beside St. Lawrence O'Toole and their drum corps playing. And I can remember actually falling asleep. You might not think that that's a compliment, but for me, that's like the music that I'm super into. If it lulls me to sleep, it means I'm relaxed, and it's gotten me to that point where I'm able to just let it all go and let everything melt away, all the stress, everything. And just listening to their drum corps play, it was so musical, and it was just, man, it was amazing. And I've said that to Steven, like we've talked about it. And I said, man, I listened to you guys like, a couple of years ago, and like you guys put me to sleep, and it was amazing. Like, and I mean that in the highest compliment.
Absolutely.
It was so musical just listening to you guys play. And they were literally pretty much right on top of me. They were like five feet away. And it was just awesome. It was the coolest thing. And that's the stuff, unfortunately, being at the Worlds. You sometimes miss those magical moments because you're so busy in your own thing.
But you also need that 5-10 minute magical nap.
Yeah, you do need
that opportunity.
You need a magical little 10-minute nap and a clean bathroom.
Yes.
One of those things.
50 not so clean.
One of those things you have a better chance of finding. I'm going to go with the nap.
Man, I love this notion, because it's true. If you just say it outright, man, you guys put me to sleep. That just, it sounds like a diss, but it's not.
Yeah.
Because you feel so intense when you play, and you work so hard mentally to be able to execute the way that you would like to when it comes to performance time. It's hard to remember that to a listener, it should actually be quite relaxing. Even if it is something as loud and aggressive or whatever as a pipe band drum corps, it should and could put people to sleep.
Yeah, well,
it's not a bad thing.
Totally. Like, I mean, they can be both things. When I'm doing some of my drum kit stuff, I've played in a lot of loud, fast, aggressive, punk rock bands and metal bands and stuff. And, there's that aspect that it's like, when I see people head bopping, I see fists pumping in the air, like that's a good sign. That means that, the veins are popping.
That's right. I grabbed them,
and the pulse is increased, and it's like, right? That's a good thing. But then I think, well, sometimes when I'm going to sleep, I'll listen to some of the craziest, wackiest, extreme, metal drummers, and people are like, "How do you fall asleep to that?" And to me, it's like, well, it's like counting. I'm counting sheep because I'm counting the kick drum patterns, and I'm trying to figure it out in my head. What is he playing there? And pretty soon I'm like, because it's like, it's mesmerizing to me. It actually relaxes me.
Absolutely.
And so it's kind of the same thing.
Totally.
It can pump you up, but it can also be really relaxing, and both are compliments.
Both are absolutely compliments, man. I remember falling asleep as a little kid. So my first wave of intense music listening was all Michael Jackson. Destroyed that Thriller tape, just destroyed it. And then by about junior high, early high school or so is when the punk wave came in with Nirvana, Metallica came out with Black Album and stuff. And I remember as, about a middle schooler going to sleep at night listening to Nirvana's Nevermind album and Metallica's Black Album, because that's all that was on the radio all the time. I remember having these conversations with people thinking, how can you go to sleep listening to such intense music? And I didn't think about it at the time, it's just what I did. And now, again, I have a different perspective on it, and it does make sense that in certain people in certain situations, it's telling you something about yourself, either how much you love a certain thing or what it does to you, that you can, in fact, absorb this enormous amount of information, and it can put you to sleep in a very positive way.
Well, I think it's an interesting thing that you kind of bring up there too, relating that to pipe bands too, because it's like there's different moods that we have as people. We're not happy all the time. We're not sad, hopefully, all the time.
We're not. Johnny Rowe?
I'd love to be happy all the time. Unfortunately, that ain't life. It's ebb and flow. It's peaks and valleys, and a whole lot of stuff in between. Yeah. You have to negotiate that, and the soundtrack for your life changes. It ebbs and flows as well. I'm not always going to be in the mood to listen to some kind of pumping, thrash metal.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want to just listen to some smooth jazz.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I'll be the first one to say, I've said it many times before to friends of mine, for a guy that listens to a lot of different types of music, and I like a lot of kind of more extreme music, I am like a closet Madonna fan. And your Michael Jackson reference, Omar Hakim,
Yeah.
I got a chance to see him in a clinic a bunch of years ago, and I didn't know at the time, I knew he played with a lot of big artists, but I didn't really know at the time that, like, along with Dire Straits and along with Sting and, along with Michael Jackson, he also played for Madonna.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm a huge, old Madonna fan,
Yep.
Lucky Star, Like a Virgin,
Material
that
Girl.
area. Oh my God. And so he was playing along to a couple of these tracks, and he actually played along to Like a Virgin, and it was cool. It was just so cool. And I guess the point is that, there's other stuff that we can dig on in pipe bands too.
Absolutely.
It doesn't always have to be this. It doesn't always have to be that. There's too much of I don't like this band because I don't like their snare section.
Why not? Because.
Why not? Well, just because they're not this band. I'm like, but that's, sometimes I want to hear funky drummer. Sometimes I want to hear Dave Grohl beating the hell out of his drums.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want to hear Lars Ulrich trying to play,
trying really hard,
trying to play time.
That's right.
So,
we love
that
you,
was
Lars.
that was cruel.
You're cool.
Absolutely. But the point being is, it's all good stuff. It's just sometimes what you're in the mood for, or sometimes what you're gravitating to at a certain point in your life, or a certain mood you're in, or whatever. And they're all great things. And sometimes relating to bass and tenor sections, sometimes it's about playing Phil Rudd. Sometimes it's about AC/DC.
Yep. And that's it.
And that's it, because that's what serves the purpose.
That's right.
Of Back in Black.
Absolutely. And maybe that is what your unique midsection team is feeling of that tune or that set or whatever.
If that's working for what you're doing, for what you're trying to do musically, then that's the right thing to do. And then sometimes you're Neil Peart, and you're
going nuts,
and you're just going bonkers. And in that situation, that's the perfect thing.